Welcome to another Walter Football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, Senior Draft Analyst. Before we get rolling here, I suggest you click into the settings here, speed it up to 1.25 or 1.5, and we'll get this thing rolling. First overall pick, Jets. I have them taking Trevor Lawrence. I think Sam Darnold has shown enough this year to get them a quality pick in return, say a second rounder, but I don't think he's done enough where you would pass on Trevor Lawrence and trade down and build around Darnold. I think you build around Trevor Lawrence, you get the guy on the rookie 5-year contract. Sam Darnold's getting closer to the second contract. Buys you more time in the rebuild for spending money on the roster around this quarterback and really building a team between the picks and the free agent dollars. The Jets, if they manage it right, they spend wisely, and they make good picks, could really turn themselves into a good team. So this is a huge opportunity for them. I think you take Trevor Lawrence, build around him. Second overall pick, Jaguars. I have them taking Justin Fields, quarterback from Ohio State. I think that's pretty much a no-brainer at this point. They need that franchise quarterback to build around. Fields is worthy of going high in the first round. Third overall pick, I have the Bengals taking Penei Sewell, the left tackle from Oregon. Obviously, they got to improve that pass protection for Joe Burrow. You move Jonah Williams to guard or center or right tackle. You improve that line at 2 spots, and you give Burrow a franchise left tackle to protect him throughout his career. Makes all the sense in the world for the Bengals. Fourth overall pick, I have the Chargers taking Gregory Rousseau, the defensive end from Miami. Now, the Chargers have bigger needs along the offensive line and in the secondary, but in terms of value for the pick, there just isn't an offensive lineman or a cornerback or safety that are really worthy of going fourth overall. And you don't want to reach there because that just depletes your team's talent compared to others around the league that aren't reaching. But defensive end is something that the Chargers could do because Melvin Ingram his contract is running up with the team. He's aging. They just gave a huge amount of money to Joey Bosa. So if you take Rousseau, now you have a cheap 5-year player to go with Bosa, give them a talented edge rushing tandem, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on another end in free agency to replace Ingram. You just have Rousseau and Bosa, get some depth around them, but it makes it more manageable from a money perspective. So I think Rousseau to the Chargers makes a lot of sense when you kind of dig deep there. So fifth overall, I have the Cowboys taking Kwity Paye, the edge rusher from Michigan. Little high for Paye, but Dallas, I think, is kind of at that point where unless Penei Sewell was available to them, they got to take the best defensive player available outside of a linebacker. They're set there, but they need help on the defensive line. In an ideal world, it'd be a defensive tackle, but there isn't one worthy of going in the top 5. So I think you take Paye, you have him with DeMarcus Lawrence, the troubled guys around those two, Aldon Smith, Randy Gregory. You have depth potentially with those guys to rotate, but Paye gives them a guy that can rush off the edge. He also has size where you can move him inside to tackle in the sub package, not in the base defense, but in the sub package he can move inside, and that really improves their pass rush. Sixth overall, I have the Panthers taking Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida. Similar kind of situation with say, the Cowboys and Chargers, where tight end and a receiving target is not the biggest need on Carolina's roster. Wide receiver is the strength of that team, but there just isn't good value here for their needs. They need a 3-technique defensive tackle. They need a linebacker to replace Luke Kuechly. They need cornerback help. They need safety. They need offensive line. But Pitts is just such a better prospect than all the guys available at those positions. They haven't gotten much production out of Ian Thomas this year. They need a replacement for Greg Olsen. Pitts will definitely be a weapon for them. He's probably the most dynamic and problematic receiving weapon in this draft, even more so than Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith, because he's so unique with his skill set and what he does at the tight end position. So hard to find guys like this. So Pitts to the Panthers at 6. 7th overall, I have the Falcons taking Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State. Atlanta starts the rebuild project. Maybe they can trade Matt Ryan to a contender. Maybe they have Lance sit behind Ryan for a year or two. Either way, it's a new regime in Atlanta. They bring in their own quarterback. 8th overall, I have the Dolphins taking Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State. I think that Miami could use a little more beef in the middle of their defense. Parsons would help them in terms of run defense and pass coverage in the middle of the field, and I think he fits that Brian Flores mentality. 9th overall, I have the Eagles taking Jamar Chase, wide receiver from LSU. I think that this is just too good to pass up for the Eagles, even though they took a receiver in the first round last year and found some depth at the position in the mid-rounds in day 3. So they have some young receivers, but Chase is just too good to pass up. Whether it's Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts, he's going to be a big difference maker for them. It's really going to make things tough on defenses with the speed of Rager on the other side of the field and the tight ends they have going down the seam. I think that really makes the Eagles' offense explosive and really difficult to defend with how you deploy your safeties. So Chase would just be too good of a value for the Eagles there in the back half of the top 10. Could easily go higher. 10th overall, I have the Giants taking Jalen Waddle, the wide receiver from Alabama. Give them that Tyreek Hill type receiver to be their playmaker, their home run hitter. Daniel Jones needs weapons. The receivers in New York are seriously lacking in talent, so Waddle would be a big upgrade for them. 11th overall, I have the Lions taking Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle from Alabama. He's a player that I think could rise in the process. Some teams think he's worthy of going high in the first round. Others have graded him on day 2 because he has issues in run defense. They think he needs to go back to school and become more well-rounded as a defender. But interior pass rushers are so hard to find. Here we are Saturday of the SEC championship game, and in this shortened season, he already has 6 sacks on the year. And for an interior rusher, they're just so hard to find. And with his ability to rush in line, over guards, on the inside, it's just really a great commodity to have. So the Lions definitely need defensive tackle help. He gives them an interior pass rusher to get after Aaron Rodgers and the other quarterbacks in their division. So Barmore to the Lions. We'll see on this guy, though. It could change. Maybe he goes back to school. 12th overall, we have the 49ers taking Patrick Surtain the second. I think the 49ers would make a lot of sense to upgrade their cornerbacks. Surtain gives them that understudy to Richard Sherman as the eventual number 1, but in the short term they can form a nice tandem together, really improve the coverage there for the 49ers. 13th overall, I have the Broncos taking J.C. Horn, cornerback from South Carolina. Similar where Denver has some veteran corners, but J.C. Horn can be that long-term number 1. They could use a corner upgrade. Really haven't had that number 1 outside guy since Aqib Talib. So Horn would be a nice upgrade for them. Next pick, Vikings at 14. I have them taking Elijah Vera-Tucker, the left tackle / guard from USC. Can play either position, would be a great fit in the Gary Kubiak offense. You could play him at guard, then eventually he could move to left tackle for the Vikings, be the long-term guy there, improve that offense, help Kirk Cousins, help Dalvin Cook. Continue to kind of improve that line there in Minnesota. 15th overall, I have the Bears taking Devontae Smith, the wide receiver from Alabama. Obviously, the Bears' offense has not been consistent the past few years. They need more playmakers on it, and with where they're picking, missing out on the quarterbacks, I think you take Smith. Especially, if Allen Robinson leaves in free agency, it'll be a screaming need. But even if he's brought back, you have Smith and Allen Robinson together, that really makes that offense more dangerous. And Smith is just having such a phenomenal season. The guy is just an absolute killer on the field. He is vicious. He's just such a phenomenal football player. The speed, yards after the catch ability, excellent hands, route running. He can do it all. He's just a thin-build guy, but I think he overcomes it and is a really good pro. 16th overall, we have still a run on receivers going here with the Patriots taking Terrace Marshall Jr., wide receiver from LSU. He's got good size, speed, mismatch ability. Obviously, the Patriots need more weapons in the passing attack. 17th overall, I have the Raiders taking Carlos Basham, defensive end from Wake Forest. Obviously, the Raiders really got to improve their pass rush. I think Basham would really help them in terms of giving them a trio to rotate with Cleveland Farrell and Max Crosby. And Basham is versatile enough. You can move him inside in the sub package and let him rush from tackle. But he's a tough, hard-nosed football player, big, physical, well-rounded player. So I think he'd be a nice fit in that division because you also have the running attacks of Denver and the Chargers and the Chiefs as well. So he can help them in both phases. 18th overall, I have the Ravens taking Andre Sisco, the safety from Syracuse. Pure ball-hawking safety, great instincts, nice build, versatility to play strong or free safety, would be a really good replacement for Earl Thomas. Sisco, though, kind of a fluid stock guy because he had a pregame collision early in the season that knocked him out for the rest of the year. The exact nature of that injury's kind of been evasive, so we'll see when the combine time rolls around and as it emerges what we're looking at here. He is a guy that could go lower depending on the severity of the injury and rehab and how teams are, evaluating him medically. 19th overall, I have the Redskins taking Sam Cosmi, the left tackle from Washington. Obviously, Trent Williams is gone. Big hole there. Put in Cosmi and plug up that left side of the offensive line. Not a quarterback worthy here. At this point, Cosmi's a better value than the receivers. And that's still a big need for Washington. 20th overall, I have the Cardinals taking Rodarius Williams, the cornerback from Oklahoma State. Really had an excellent season. Just did a phenomenal job of running the route, preventing separation. Younger brother of Greedy Williams really had a lot of starting experience at Oklahoma State. Looks like a safe pick to turn into a solid pro cornerback. Gives Arizona a nice young tandem there with Byron Murphy. 21st overall, I have the Dolphins taking Travis Etienne. I'm sure, this is a broken record pick in some ways because I just love this pick and this fit so much because I think Etienne would be such a great help for a young quarterback, and Tua would have such a great check down weapon, and Etienne, along with giving the Dolphins a more stable ground presence. They've cycled through a lot of backs this year. Etienne would really lock that position down for them and give them a guy that makes their offense more explosive. 22nd overall, I have the Bucs taking Aiden Hutchinson, the defensive end from Michigan. I think with the age of Jason Pierre-Paul, the size on Shaq Barrett, makes sense to have another end to rotate with those guys, keep them healthy. Hutchinson is really just a monster when you watch that Minnesota game at the start of the year. He's big, 6'6", 300. You can move him inside to tackle, so you could have all three going at the same time in the sub package. He's versatile. He can play 3-4 defensive end, 4-3 end. So I think he'd be a really nice fit in that defense of Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay. 23rd overall, I have the Colts taking Shaun Wade, cornerback from Ohio State. He's got a really good skill set, has some versatility to play slot corner, safety. It's not done all that well as an outside corner this year. It flashes at times, but the Colts have a really good coaching staff. They've done a really nice job of developing talent, and I think Wade would be a nice project for them that could turn into a really good player with good coaching, and Indianapolis could use more talent in that secondary. Next up, Browns at 24. I have them taking Rashad Weaver, edge rusher from Pitt. I think they could use Olivier Vernon could leave the team in the offseason. Even if he's brought back, it wouldn't hurt them to add another end to rotate with Myles Garrett and Vernon to keep them fresh, similar to the Bucs pick. And eventually Vernon will probably be gone. It wouldn't surprise me if it happens this spring. And then you have a cheap 5-year option to pair with Garrett. They just paid Garrett huge money. So now you have 2 first-round talents at end, but it's much more affordable when one of them's on the rookie deal as opposed to 2 veteran free agent contracts. So in that regard, it makes sense for them being able to spend money elsewhere. They're going to have to re-sign Nick Chubb. Baker Mayfield's closing in on that second contract as well. So I think it makes all the sense in the world for them to have some cheap young talent on that defensive line to go with Garrett. 25th overall, I have the Jets taking Caleb Farley, the cornerback from Virginia Tech. They have to improve their cornerback talent. Obviously, it's a big need on that team. Jets, I think at this point in the draft, can really look at best player available aside from quarterback. Maybe not an offensive tackle, but aside from those positions, they need help at receiver, running back, edge rusher, cornerback, even safety with Jamal Adams gone. So they can pretty much just look at best player available. Farley has a really good skill set. Is kind of an enigma in terms of where teams are going to value him because he had a bad 2018 season of tape. He had a really good 2019 season of tape, and he's had some serious injuries in his career already, so he's going to have some medical red flags. So he's a guy that skill set wise could shoot up because he could work out great before the draft, and the medical teams could flunk him, and then down he goes. So really interesting player to watch during the process. 26th overall, I have the Jaguars taking Paris Ford, the safety from Pitt. Definitely a huge need on that Jaguars roster is secondary help. They need guys around C.J. Henderson. Ford is just a phenomenal football player, just so instinctive, physical, always around the ball, really versatile in coverage, good run defender, good tackler, would really be a plug-and-play upgrade for the Jags. 27th overall, I have the Titans taking Zaven Collins, the edge rusher from Tulsa, but he's more than an edge rusher. You can do so much with him. He's so big and fast. He can play Sam linebacker in a 4-3. He can be a middle Mike linebacker in a 4-3. In a 3-4, you can play him on inside linebacker, outside linebacker. He's a dynamic player. He can get after the quarterback. He can drop in coverage. Has a bunch of interceptions this year. Previous seasons, he had like close to 100 tackles. He's getting after the quarterback this year. Check out the opening game this year for that, for a great tape showing how he can rush the passer. And then later in the season, he has an overtime pick six, walk-off winner against Tulane. Just incredible play. Check that one out. Really fun player to watch. Had a phenomenal season. I think he'd be a real upgrade for the Titans. They went through Clowney and Vic Beasley trying to find a veteran guy to be that edge 3-4 outside linebacker. I think Collins would be a great fit there for Mike Vrabel. 28th overall, I have the Bills taking Alex Leatherwood, left tackle from Alabama. I think Buffalo could use some more offensive line talent. They've had issues running the ball consistently this season, and this would all improve their pass protection for Josh Allen, which you can never go wrong with. And Leatherwood's a really good pass protector, really athletic on the edge, good size, quick feet, can move along with speed rushers, cover them up. Has to improve his run blocking, get more physical, but late in the first round, getting a good pass protector for Josh Allen, I think, is something that the Bills would definitely have to consider. 29th overall, I have the Saints taking Javon Holland, safety from Oregon. Another ball-hawking safety, really good instincts, good in coverage on the back end. Malcolm Jenkins is aging. He's gotten picked on some this year, not the player he once was. Holland would be an upgrade. 30th overall, I have the Steelers taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, a linebacker from Notre Dame. Give them a tandem with Devin Bush. Pittsburgh is a team that's always had great linebacker play. Now you have two fast, athletic guys that can do a variety of things. I think that'd be a really nice tandem there for them. 31st overall, I have the Packers taking Jalen Mayfield, the right tackle out of Michigan. He can also play guard. He has a good skill set, so you could maybe develop him into left tackle, but Green Bay doesn't need a left tackle. They could use a long-term right tackle, though, so Mayfield would help them in the short term with protecting Aaron Rodgers and in the long term with Jordan Love. 32nd overall, I have the Chiefs taking Wyatt Davis, the guard from Ohio State. Give them a bowl in the ground game, really help them open holes for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think they could use some more youth and play youth and power on the inside of that offensive line. And Davis has a really good skill set. You can develop him into a good pass protector as well. So I think from the Chiefs' standpoint, you're helping to get more return on your investment with the contract you gave Pat Mahomes, those receivers, Travis Kelce, the pick you invested in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You build up that line. It's going to help you to get more out of those guys. So that's this week's mock draft. I really appreciate you guys for watching. You can email me at draftcampbell@gmail.com. I'm going to do a mailbag here pretty soon, so any topics you guys want me to hit on, send them my way and I'll do it. And thank you guys so much again. Please follow me on Twitter at Draft Campbell, and follow Walt on Twitter at WalterFootball. Like the video, subscribe, please share it with your friends. Help us build this channel. I really appreciate you guys watching. I got links below. Thank you so much. Take care. Be safe. I'll be back with you soon.